All right, we have our own Rindy portfolio coming up here. Tell us about widgets.
Okay, so welcome to Step Up to the Sidebar. My name's Rindy Portfolio, and I'm with the Tadpole Collective. I'm a co-founder. What is the Tadpole Collective? We are a creative collective. We've got 5 people, each with our own talents. We met through this very meetup and launched a year ago. And basically, we're your WordPress support team. We've got hourly support plans. You can file a support ticket with our system. We'll help you out. We do website development, of course, all WordPress. We do workshops. We're going to be having a webinar for Beginner Bootcamp next month, which you'll be able to check out on our website soon. And we also do hosting plans. If you want to host with somebody who really knows and enjoys WordPress. Okay, you want to? Yeah, sure. You want to just use it as a stand? Gotcha. All right. How's that? Okay. And I just want to mention that one of our members, Dana Skalman over here, is going to be presenting at WordCamp, WordPress Meetup in San Francisco next week, all about CiviCon. Well, CiviCon's on the weekend. She's going to be at the WordPress Meetup in San Francisco and then presenting at CiviCon. If anyone's in San Francisco next week. Okay, we're at tadpole.cc for the Creative Collective. Okay, so we're going to talk about sidebars today, one of the most powerful features of WordPress. According to Justin Tadlock, who knows quite a few things about WordPress. Why are sidebars so powerful? Because they're so flexible. They allow for flexible design. It's sort of like a plug and play situation. You can have as many sidebars as you want, within reason, of course, like anything. It's a way to easily manage content on your website, rearrange things without having to get into the code. Once you set up your sidebars in the code, everything is managed from the dashboard. It makes it easy for non-techies to move around. Drag and drop's very convenient, of course. Sidebars are also known as widget areas because they're the areas where the widgets go. So the widgets are things that are interoperable, right? We can use a widget when we mean something. It doesn't matter what the thing is. It matters that you can put it here, you can put it there, you can use it in any different kind of way. You know, like from Economics 101, a widget is just a product, okay? It's a snippet of code or a snippet of content which you can drag and drop around your different sidebars. So we're going to go into how that stuff works. Widgets are mainly defined by your theme or your plugin. Okay, so we're gonna go through both ways of creating sidebars and putting widgets where they can go. Let's get into that now. So I've set up a little sidebar demo site right here on my local. Just using the standard WordPress installation. We've got a 2010 theme here. And we're going to go through some of these widget areas in the dashboard. So under Appearance Widgets, oh, it's a little bit narrower than I would have liked, but okay. So 2010 comes with 6 different sidebars or widget areas. You've got your primary one, which is, of course, you know, just right on the side here. You've got a secondary one, which is going to appear below that on the sidebar. And then you've got 4 footer widget areas. And you can see how easy these things are to use. If we want to say, drag this right in here, you don't have to click save at this point. Once you've dragged that in there, it's live. We'll refresh our page. And we'll see in our footer, we've now got pages. To demonstrate some of these widget areas a little bit further, again, I'm using the 2010 theme. I'll try recent comments. Again, without even saving, these things just appear. The save button appears because you've got options on your widgets. Of course, if you don't want to call it recent comments, call it something else. Then you need to click Save. Refresh again. Simple, right? It's just drag and drop, very easy. Footer widget 3 and 4 are going to appear over here, as you might have guessed. And these are some of the different widgets that you've probably all seen having some familiarity with WordPress. Your search bar, your recent posts is obviously pulling in the most recent posts. You've got some settings here, you know, how many you're going to display. Pretty standard stuff. I'm sure everybody's pretty familiar with this. I don't want to, you know, tell you things you already know here, but in case anybody's not experienced with WordPress, an archive widget, for example, is going to show links to, you know, your different archives from your blog or from your website. Okay, it's clear how easy this is to just, you know, manipulate it and make it do what you want. Okay. Now, if we take a look at another theme, for example, 2011, you can see what they did here with the widgets, or rather with the widget areas, the sidebars. They've changed this one to main sidebar. And then they've got a showcase sidebar, which in the description tells you that this is going to appear on the showcase template. So that's a page template that comes with 2011. Meaning that if I put in, say, categories over here, you're not going to see it right away. You're not going to see it on this page. Note we switched to 2011 now. I've got categories in the main anyway, so I'll just pull that out. In fact, you drag and drop a bunch of these out of here, make some room. Okay, our categories aren't showing because they're for the showcase sidebar, which appears on the showcase template. So if I look at my pages and I say maybe sample page, I need to be using that showcase template. Okay, so I'm going to update this page, sample page, and once I load that up, you'll see that this is where they've entered the showcase widget to show up on this page template. Does that make sense? Am I losing anyone here? So they've got, what they've done in 2011 is created a page template which has its own widget area or its own sidebar. And the design has said that this is going to appear down in this area. If we want to switch that out, maybe we want to put in a calendar instead. Now you've got a calendar. All right, very easy, right? 2012, similar. I'm just going to cycle through the 20-somethings, but I'm not going to get up to 2013. You guys are going to find that out on your own because I think they've eliminated the sidebar or made it not really something that you want to use. It's not eliminated, but let's take a look at our sidebars for 2012. You still got your main sidebar. You've got front page widgets now. What they've done is they created a template called front page, similar to the showcase. Use that for your front page, and they've set it up so that you can drag and drop widgets in there. So one of the things I want to go over here is, if you noticed, even though I switched out my theme, these three widgets stayed right here. That's only because this main sidebar in each theme has the same name. So the theme is recognized as having the same sidebar because it has the exact same name in the code. Most of the time when you're switching between themes, you might find that's not going to happen, in which case you're going to lose those widgets. I mean, you don't lose them, I'll show you what happens, but they're not going to appear right away on your website. For example, if I switch out to another theme, like this guy here, I've got all sorts of different areas, and now you can see that these are all different. Oh, these are saved from before I was messing around with this, practicing, and so these are saved from the last time I had this theme activated. which is also useful. But you'll find that what happens is there's two different areas on the left side here. You've got available widgets, and below that you've got inactive widgets. So the distinction is important because when you're removing widgets from your sidebars, if you drop them in here, as I was doing before, all the settings for this widget are going to be deleted. They won't be saved. Sometimes you've got a widget that's kind of complicated. It's got a lot of settings. For example, maybe this archives one. You can see that there are a bunch of things to do here. You've got your title, you've got format, what type of archives do you want to show, what order do you want to show them in. If you're going to move widgets around or change themes, it might be useful to save those settings so that you don't have to remember what it was like or try to replicate everything. For that, you're going to want to remove it from the sidebar and drag it into your inactive widgets area. As you can see in the description, it keeps the settings. So when you want to keep settings but you need to move a widget for some reason, you drop it into your inactive widgets area. That way, everything will be there when you switch themes. So for example, you're switching to a new theme, but you've got a bunch of widgets that you want to keep. You drag them into your inactive widgets area before you switch your theme. Then you switch. Then you put them back. Now, if you happen to forget how to do this, WordPress is pretty smart about it, and they'll actually put all of those widgets that don't have widget areas anymore into the inactive area. Just one of the little ways that WordPress devs have made our lives easier, and we thank them for that. Okay. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anything in this area. Pretty sure I haven't. We can go through some of the basic widgets. If anyone has any questions about any of this stuff, just let me know. But most of these standards are pretty obvious, like your categories, a calendar. It shows the days that you've recently posted, so you can click on those things. The descriptions are pretty self-explanatory. But then you've got things like widgets that come with plugins. So you might want to have something that's going to give you some new functionality, and that's where we get into things like this. So we talked about most of these. I want to go over one which is pretty important, the text widget. The text widget is like your multi-use, you can do anything with it widget. It allows you to simply enter any text or HTML content into the widget, which is then going to appear in your posts. Now it sounds simple, but because it's simple, it's very extensible and fun to use. Okay, I'm going to put that up here, but I actually want to switch back out to a 2010 theme. Okay. So you can put arbitrary text or HTML as it says, right? You get your title, you get your body. I mean, you can put almost anything in here. You can put your links, you can put ads, you can put random text, anything that you've just come up with that you need to use. It'll recognize any HTML, so you can put in an A link, an anchor text. You just type things out. You can put in, you know, very simply save. It's going to be linked up. Nice and simple. There's one little thing here to show you, which is automatically add paragraphs. If we have, say, a bunch of text and we add all that, basically this is one line break, right? What I've just created, this enter, it's going to appear like this. It's all just kind of mashed together. If you want it to really appear the way that we'd expect it to appear, automatically add paragraphs. That is now a single break. So, no, you can't. There's too much text there. This will now act as a single break. At least I was under the, well, yeah, I see what's happening here. Okay, so it acts as a single break. If we look there, it's really just adding the BR break. If you want paragraphs, you add another break, and now it recognizes it with paragraph tags. Simple, right? Now, one thing that's pretty cool in WordPress, we know are shortcodes. So if you've ever seen little things like this, shortcode does something. There's a lot of different things that will create shortcodes, but the text widget out of the box will not recognize a shortcode. So there's a little trick you can do which will make it recognize it. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Sorry guys. Amateur mistake here. Okay, you want to get short codes in the text widget. You add just this one line to your functions PHP. It adds a filter that is going to say when you see short codes in the widgets, or in the text widget specifically, go ahead and execute those short codes as you'd like to. Okay? Text widget, very useful, very helpful. Okay, some other. Yeah, sure. I'm also going to post these slides on the internet, so you'll be able to copy and paste all this stuff. Okay. Any questions so far? All right, good. Not losing anybody?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Can you resize those widget areas?
You can, yeah. So basically the widget area is there. It's in your layout, which is going to be defined normally in style CSS. And the way that you're going to make, say, your sidebar is too narrow, you're going to have to get into the styling of that div and change the width of it. You know, so the widget and the widget area themselves don't come out of the box with styling, but you add classes to those widgets. So if we look at where this is happening, everything here is called primary in this theme, 2010. So you can see that those widths are defined in the style CSS, float right, width. It's a little more complicated than just upping this width because you're going to have to account for, you know, how wide is your main column. But it's basically just like working the layout. And one of the great things about sidebars is that they don't have to just be these sidebars over here, you know. The footer is a sidebar. The header is a sidebar. Like we saw down here, we've got widgets in our footer. I mean, what we've done what they've done in 2010 is said that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sidebars in the footer. And those are the shape and the layout and the display and the colors, all that's controlled in your CSS, but the content that's there can easily be manipulated through the widget drag and drop.
So you've had to do that in the child theme, or it kept traction when you updated it?
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to edit 2010 directly, then yeah, you should probably make a child theme, subject for another discussion, but basically you're editing the style files at that point. Alrighty. So a lot of plugins are going to come with their own widgets, and you'll notice this a lot when you download plugins that you need for some type of functionality. Maybe you have a membership plugin, for example, and it will have maybe a widget that comes with it that says, okay, this is like a profile widget, so you can throw that in a sidebar, and when a member is logged in, they'll see, you know, their profile information on the side. Okay, you might have an events widget, which is going to give you something, or an events plugin, which will give you a widget that says upcoming events. So you can list in the footer or in the header what's the next event that's coming up. You know, you have a social media widget perhaps with a plugin there that would say, show me all of the tweets from this account. You know, if you want, like the simplest way to add, for example, your recent tweets is you get a Twitter plugin that's got a widget that you can just put in any sidebar area that you want, right? So that's the kind of flexibility that we're talking about with sidebars, and a lot of plugins are going to give you those widgets so that you can easily add content and move it around the places that you want that has to do with their plugin. And that's just a few of the examples. I mean, advertising is one that's big for a lot of folks. You're going to want to move those ads around. Widgets are the way to go. You know, we often see a lot of themes where you're going to do something like we saw in 2010, where you have these rows of things, menus, for example. I meant to show you the custom menu widget. We can get into that right now. That's a really good one to know because, of course, WordPress allows you to create your own menus, right? But your theme is going to limit you to places where you can put those menus. You've got theme locations. So on 2010, you've only got one menu location. So you've only got room for one menu, right? Except that you can create a new menu and use it in a widget area. You could say new menu, create that menu, add a couple of pages to it, save it, and I go check out my widgets, and I'll say, you know what, I'm through with these guys. Everybody know what the meta widget is, for example? Login links, the old WordPress anchor, always a good one. I'm going to leave that there, little props to WordPress. Custom menu. So let's say you've downloaded a theme from the repository that you love, but you're not into hacking the files and making it do what you want to do to add new menus. You can add them in your sidebars by saying, okay, I've created my new menu. I'm going to put it into my sidebar, and I'll say, let's show the new menu there. Save that. Okay. Here's your new menu. It looks kind of weird. It doesn't have a title. Okay. So that gives you the flexibility to move with that theme, even though your theme has not given you the option to put multiple menus in. You can do it anyway. All right. Here are a few widgets that come with plugins that you may not have heard of that can be quite useful, and we'll go through a couple of them now. Display widgets is really helpful because one of the drawbacks of this system, you might have picked up on it, is that once I've dragged my new menu in here, right, the other menu, into the primary widget area, well, on this theme, the primary widget area shows up on basically every page. Okay, so I go to the blog page, there's the other menu, I go to this page, other menu. Maybe there's places where I don't want to show this. Maybe if I go to single, I'm not really into this other menu being there, for example. Display widgets is a plugin which gives you some flexibility over where things are going to show up. So I've downloaded the plugin already. I'm just going to activate it now, and you'll see what happens once I've activated this display widgets plugin. When I go back to my widgets and I look at the options for this widget here, all this stuff has been added, right? It wasn't here before. This is display widgets functionality. So now it's saying, okay, show hide widget, hide on checked or show on checked. What it means is, here is basically all the content of this website. Okay? We've got the option to show only for logged in users, logged out users, front page, blog page, we might want to say hide on the areas where I check. So now it's going to say on the front page, on the blog page, archives page, and single post page, let's not show this widget. Now that that's saved, here I'm on a single page. I'm looking at one blog post, the famous one, Hello World, and I refresh, this doesn't show up anymore. So even though this widget custom menu, the other menu, it's still in the sidebar, but I've told it don't display on this page. Now it's still going to show up on other pages. Right? See, there it is. That gives you more flexibility. So display widgets is a really great one to know about. It makes it easy to understand and gives you a lot more flexibility. Another one is dun, 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 really simple gallery widget. Just a great way to throw images into your sidebars. Activate that widget, and here's what happens there. So while display widgets showed up when I look at any other widget, right? Like if I look at Meta, it says where else can I hide this, right? When I activate the really simple gallery widget, it actually adds that into this area right here. Okay, so now I can put this widget into, let's say we'll put it in the third footer widget area. And this gives you a bunch of options for what type of images from your media gallery that you might want to display. And it gives you some display options as well. So let's say we'll go with the thumbnail, that's probably fine. Select images from the full media library. Number of images to show, 0 is everything, so let's say 1 should be enough. Go ahead and save that. Display widget options are also here. We'll give that a refresh, and now it's showing an image in that area. All right, so it can be very useful. A lot of people are always looking to show their latest images in the sidebar. If you didn't know about that, now you know. Yeah?
That widget won't rotate the images though, right?
Let's see. Yes, it will. Okay, on page refresh, it will show you a new one. I know it does have this option if you want to, when you're on a single page or post, only show its attached images. So if you have a post that has a gallery, for example, and you click this, then when somebody's viewing that post, the widget is only going to show those images. I think it also gives you the chance to order the images. So we've chosen random. You could go by date, title. So it gives you a few options there.
Show images, it's called?
It's called Really Simple Gallery Widget. Yeah, there was a question in the back?
That was my question.
Right. Yeah, okay. Really Simple Gallery Widget.
Why not just have the pictures show up on the actual post or the page?
Yeah.
Why have it on the side?
Well, that's flexibility, right? It's up to you. I mean, I would go with that, what you just said as well. But this, I think what this is more useful for is just showing a random image on your page, or maybe just pulling in images from your media library into a sidebar, footer, header, whatever you want to do, really. Okay. One other widget that comes with a plugin I want to show you is Taxonomy widget. Taxonomies are getting more and more important. Taxonomies are basically, your categories, and your tags are your standard taxonomies, your standard classifications of content. And since about 2.8 or 2.9, we have had custom post types and custom taxonomies, meaning not only can we create custom post types, but we can create custom sets of categories, custom sets of tags. The taxonomy widget is going to give you a lot more options around how you show these categories and tags within a widget. Let's take a look at how it works. So before, we've always had categories widget, and we've always had tags widget. or at least like a tag cloud. Tag clouds are, I think they're still pretty cool. I don't know. They might be on their way out, but I like them. So now we've got the taxonomy widget, and this is going to allow you to get into your custom taxonomies. So let's drag that in here. One of the things that's kind of difficult from a UI perspective is that when your widget area is closed, you can't drag anything into it. It kind of annoys me, but hey, I mean, you can't have everything, right? So switch that in here and check out the options here. So your first option is display categories. You've also got tags, and then on this website there's only there's one custom taxonomy, which is format. Let's give that a try. You've got the option to display it as a cloud. Let's go with that because I said I like those clouds. And we'll display the title of the category or the taxonomy. Excuse me. The term is what it's going to display. Post counts, so if you want to see how many posts are in that term, and hierarchy would give you like a tiered option. So we'll see if this test site has got everything that we can see. Ooh, clouds not supported for format. Well, live and learn. Let's do the drop down. Okay. So now you've got these are formats, right? Post formats. These are gaining more traction too. I think the new 2013 theme is really going to focus on post formats. That should be pretty cool. If you haven't checked it out in the beta, it's going to be out pretty soon with WordPress 3.6. So if I say show me the asides, it's going to show me all of the asides. Happens to just be one, but you get the idea. Show me all the gallery posts. Right, let's say we didn't want to show format. It's kind of a dull one. We'll go with categories and give me a cloud. So you've always had the tag cloud. Now you can have a category cloud, because who doesn't love a cloud, right? Boom. There you go. Okay, now I wanted to show, let's go with an unordered list and we'll show some post counts. Now it's just displaying the counts of each term. Pretty simple stuff, right? So let's say you've got a site with a bunch of different taxonomies. That might be a useful widget for you. Be able to show a lot of different.
We show hierarchy.
Yeah, let's show hierarchy. Thanks. It doesn't look like we've got any hierarchy here, but if we edit them, we can quickly create it. So I would go posts, categories, and let's say this one has a parent of that one. Okay, you can see how it does it there. All right, cool. Yeah.
Let's say you're developing your sidebar and you have all these fabulous widgets that are important because, you know, it's your site and you want to advertise, and you've got your video, and you've got your search, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the left, you have your content. I mean, people will have it
Right.
depending on how they want to use their site. But what can you do if you have a long column for your sidebar and you've got all this white space? What can you do to fill it up to make it not look so weird?
Okay, so what you could do, I think I might need to repeat the question. She's asking about.
That's fine.
It's okay? Okay, great. So if you wanted to fill up some of that space in the content area, you could create sidebars that actually appear in the content area. So you could say, after the content, show sidebar content 2, or whatever you would name it, and then have that appear under the content. You could use some conditionals to say only show on a page that has, you know, less than 10 posts, because, you know, those 10, that's where you're going to have all that empty space. And then you'd be able to throw widgets in there, and that sidebar would show up in your content area. So it would look like a content area. I mean, depending on how you style it, the placement of it would be within content PHP rather than sidebar PHP. And yeah, I mean, one of the things about these sidebars is that sidebar is kind of a misnomer, like I was saying earlier. You can have, in fact, we're going to get into it with these new themes. I'm going to go and talk about widget areas and themes. So I've chosen here 3 themes with the help of my colleague who knows a lot about this stuff to show you how some themes will give you a bunch of different widget areas to work with so that you can have that kind of really flexible experience. So let's try one out. I'll switch up the theme on our demo site to spine. So this theme is called spine. Once we activate it, you can see, we've changed things up here quite a bit. Let's get to our home page. And let's take a look at the widgets.
Set the home page.
Hmm?
Just set the home page in front of template.
Ah, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go front page. In fact, I've done it. Front page template. Mm-hmm.
The settings, the reading settings.
Gotcha. Okay, so Dana is reminding me that this is showing my latest post when I want it to show the front page on the front page. Everybody familiar with this? Okay. All right. Now you can see a bunch of blank space here on our front page. But you can sort of see what's happened here. We've got a few leftover widgets in those areas. And what they've done with this theme is they made the whole front page widgetized. Okay, so that's our primary, but let's take a look at front page, second band, 1 and 2, third band, 1 and 2. We've got a lot of options here. Let's open all these up so we can just start dragging and dropping. Okay. Now, this might not be the best content management, but let's just throw in a bunch of widgets, and we'll see what happens here. All right, I guess I gotta hide a few things here. Let's just see how that looks so far. This is basically said, we're gonna take the entire width of the page and make it all widgetized, giving the user total control over this home page. If we say third band gets the archives, and third band 2 gets the pages. A lot of options on pages. Okay, so what we see is this first area is obviously stretching the width of the page. Calendar might not be the best choice here, but you get the idea. When we've got a widget that we want to get in here, we can just put it in that area. We've got authors and meta in this second band, and then we've got the third band, 1 and 2. It also appears to be showing one of these. Let's see if we can get rid of that. Okay, we might want to throw in a text widget, for example, saying, hey, welcome to the site. Welcome to this crazy, weird site. Okay, so that's spine. And there are other sites where, or other themes rather, where they're going to make the home page. It's typically something that you want to widgetize because people, they often want to just control that home page. 2012 did it. They've got a front page template with widget areas. So definitely a popular option. Let's try one of these others though. Pinboard. Ooh, All right, I think with Pinboard, I'm going to reduce the number of menu items I've got here. See if that saves us a little bit. Not quite. Oh, I see why. Switching themes, you got to make sure your menus are still there. Got to make sure your widgets are still there. Okay. So what do we see with the Pinboard theme? Look at all these widget areas. Crazy, right? Okay, so we've got our header widget area. I was mentioning before that sidebars are not just limited to sidebars. You can put them in the header, you can put them in the footer. Just throw a calendar in the header, and maybe not the best widget for that area, right? you gotta try things out though. Maybe archives are better placed up there. Yeah, search bar is probably a good one. Huh? Opt-in box? Do you know a plugin with that widget? Oh, you mean like for a newsletter sign up? Yeah, like for example, MailChimp has a widget. You know, a lot of third-party applications are going to say, yeah, just grab our WordPress widget or plugin, which creates a widget, and throw your MailChimp sign-up form right up there. Okay. One of the cool things about this is it gives you a 404-page header. 404-page widget area sidebar. That's pretty cool. So the 404 page, obviously, when there's nothing there, when you got a bad link, you could put your own widget. You know, make it easy for your client, let's say, to put their own text on the 404 page. Is this the one where it does the different sizings? I think it's the other theme, right?
By different sizes.
Okay. Alrighty, here, let's give this other theme a try.
Oh yeah, that's the theme option, you mean?
Yeah. So with this leaf theme, they've done something that's really interesting. They've got 3 footer sidebars here. And what they do is, you can see I've already populated these. If you've got 3 in the footer, it splits them out 3 across, right? But if you remove one from footer area 3, say, it'll split them 2 across. So they've done a nice little trick there. We can make it very simple. We like simple. Okay, and then they've got a header widget as well. They've got the home page sidebar. In fact, if you remove this one, they're going to make this whole thing stretch across. So you'll have just one area stretching the whole width. So that's a pretty cool use of widget areas. Okay, so that pretty much covers widgets and themes, widget areas and themes. But really, any theme that you use is going to come with some widget areas, typically at least one, but oftentimes more than one. Yeah?
Just a quick question. Other than 2012, are there any others that will adapt to iPhones and Android and tablets?
Oh, yeah, sure. So you're talking about the responsiveness of 2012? Definitely. That's a really big topic. Yeah, in fact, that's what these 3 here are doing. Yeah, like in other words, well, this one is Leaf. So this theme, I believe it's completely responsive, but we're just talking about this widget area selection where it'll say, okay, you're using 3, so I'm going to split it into thirds. If you're using 2, I'm going to split it in half. And if you're using 1, I'm going to go the whole way around. So that's very useful. And I actually think it's a pretty elegant theme, so I would use it.
The other question is there like a widget for Google Maps? So like if you have a certain area
For Google Maps? Yeah, I've done some work with Google Maps, and I've found that, like I used to I would take the link from Google or the embed link, and I try to put that in a text widget. Doesn't really work that well. You can get a plugin for Google Maps. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but if you just search Google Maps within the repository, in fact, we can probably find them pretty quickly. Or, you know, sort of quickly. Oh, one thing I should mention here. Okay, let's just search this. Google Maps. I think there's quite a few of them. Yeah. So if you take a Google Maps plugin, what they've done is they've tried to rectify this problem. You can't just plug in the embed code into the text widget. The text widget is not going to work for like PHP code, or it may work for JavaScript, but don't do that. It's not a good idea to put JavaScript in your text widget. It's only for HTML output, and if you need other uses, you know, you need to get a different plugin basically. So you could have one of these Google Maps plugin. I'm not prepared to endorse one or the other of these, but there are best practices for choosing plugins, like, you know, look at the rating, look at the recency of the updates. If this one's only been updated 3 years ago, probably not the best choice. I did want to mention this article here from a blog called Laurel on WordPress. Very extensive discussion of the WordPress text widget and all the different things you can do. I've got the link in my slides, which will be online by the end of the evening, and we'll post that at the Meetup site. Okay, and those are 3 themes that I wanted to identify for their potential with widget areas. There's one last thing I want to go over, not really in depth. It's a more advanced topic, but you know, you may have guessed that you can create your own widget areas, of course. So this is how they're done. You know, when you're downloading a theme, you're downloading something that's been created for you. If you need to, if you got a theme you love, you might just want to add to it, like one more widget area, right? And this stuff right here kind of looks complicated, but really it's not. You've got your header, your content, your sidebar, your footer. And when you want to create your own widget area, you're going to put it in one of these 4 areas, and there's only 2 steps to it. Now, it's not the simplest thing in the world, but I'll give you the basic overview, and I've got links with resources that you can follow up on your own. These areas are calling the different files from your theme, header PHP, sidebar PHP, etc. That's where the output is happening, or that's where WordPress is picking up what's going to be in these areas. The fact that they're shaped like this, totally arbitrary. I mean, you can just have like sidebar, 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 footer. You can really make this work any way you want. Sidebar seems the most flexible because you can put the sidebar anywhere. The header, footer seems like semantically they'd be in those places, right? So there's 2 steps to creating your widget area. You define the widget area in your functions.php file, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to register a sidebar. The sidebar is called this, and you add some more information about it. And then you're going to add that sidebar to the theme location, which is really even easier because you're, like we've just said here, you say, if this says get sidebar and there's parentheses, when you create your own sidebar, you give it a name like footer area 1, and then when you say get sidebar, within those parentheses, you just quote footer area 1, and it's going to call that particular sidebar.
Where do you register the sidebar?
In your functions.php file.
So you do both?
Right. Right. So a standard install would be like you're gonna put this code in your functions file,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna put another code get sidebar in your sidebar.php file, let's say.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So you've got 2 functions. Register sidebar,
Yeah.
that goes in the functions PHP. That tells WordPress that I've got a sidebar here. It's called primary widget area. Okay. Now I know it looks complicated, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you've got the name. The ID is like WordPress is going to use that as the ID, meaning it's like the slug, like a page slug almost. Description, where it says front page sidebar, that's where we saw you know, where it said like this widget, this will display on, you know, only certain pages. That's your description. So that shows up in the user dashboard area where, let me just show you, where you're going to actually be putting these sidebars in. Here's the title, here's the description, okay? So for this one, it says description equals appears on posts and pages, but not on the home page. That's what this is, description, okay? Before title and after title, those are optional, but you might want to put it as H1 to say, okay, the title is going to be this, let's make that in an H1 tag. There are also probably 15 other options that you can use, and I've got a link to the area in the WordPress Codex where you can read all about it, but we're not going to get into that yet. So you've got register sidebar in your functions PHP. That establishes the existence of your new widget area. And then you're going to go into your theme file, which might be, for example, sidebar.php. And you're basically going to say, okay, I'm going to show this dynamic sidebar. Note the slug, primary widget area, like we just defined. And this stuff on the outside of it, it basically is just a, it's like a backup plan, because sometimes you go into the dashboard and there are no widgets in the widget area, right? So what you can do in the theme is say, if the dynamic sidebar widget area doesn't exist, because that little exclamation point means not. So if there's no widgets in the primary widget area, then a bunch of code in here which will show some other stuff. You may have used a default theme, for example, like 2010. If you take all of the widgets out of your primary sidebar in 2010, it will still show content in the sidebar because of this dynamic sidebar option. So it's like a default backup plan. What we can see here is, I'll activate 2010 and go to the widgets and just say there's nothing in the primary widget area, there's nothing in the secondary widget area, and if we look at our home page, it still shows me search bar, archives, and meta. But I didn't put those widgets there. It's because in that theme, it's saying, if this guy doesn't put any widgets in there, show me search, show me categories, show me meta, okay? But as soon as I put one plugin in there, those three are gonna disappear and I'm gonna have just what I'm displaying there, okay? So that's a little introduction into that, creating your own. There are some links at the end of these slides to go forth and get your sidebar on. So thanks very much. We'll go to questions. I've got a few resources here. Justin Tadlock is amazing. You got to check out everything he has to say about WordPress. Jeremy Clark did a similar presentation to this 3 years ago where he talked about how to just widgetize everything in your theme, and we talked about that a little bit. I mentioned the WordPress Codex. That's your one-stop shop to get information on how WordPress works, and then I've got the Lorel on WordPress explanation, long explanation on many options you can do with the text widget. And these will all be online so that you can see them there. Okay, so thank you very much, and if there are any questions, please. Yeah.
Are there very many, I guess, specific search bar widgets? Is that a widget?
Yes, there is a search widget. So this guy right here, search form for your site. This is a default WordPress widget, which will allow you to, we'll put it right here. And now it's showing up in the secondary area. You can see what's happened here because these three are in the primary. It was saying like, I don't have anything in the primary, so it's showing those three. And then I've got one in the secondary. Yeah, exactly. So if I just put in pages, then you're going to see pages and you'll see search because that's that secondary area. But I bet you there's plugins that will give you other options. So you might, like, for example, I'm pretty sure there's a Google search plugin that you can install that will say, okay, use Google to search my site instead of the default search.
What about if you use, when you how can I say this? The more plugins you add to your site, that's going to slow it down somewhat. Is there a way to not have that happen?
Caching or bigger servers. But really, I mean, you can add quite a lot of plugins, and depending on which ones they are, I mean, if you've got a plugin like Hello Dolly, it doesn't really take up much memory. These plugins like that we showed earlier with the random image in the sidebar, they're not going to eat up too many resources.
But you have videos sometimes.
Yeah, when you start pulling in a lot of more complicated plugins, you will see some slowdown, and that's where you need to get into more, customized caching, for example. Not really my topic of expertise, but I know that it's definitely going to help with your speeds and other kind of optimizations that you can do. In fact, in the Genius Bar, my colleague Kevin could lead you through some of that stuff. He's a real expert on that. Sure. Questions? Other questions? Comments? Any widgets or plugins that you guys like that I didn't mention at all? I'd be interested in hearing more. Yeah.
I have one because a lot of my clients can't do HTML. They're just used to being able to work in the WYSIWYG Dash.
Yeah.
And so when you want to put something in a widget, there's one called Page in Widget.
Page in Widget?
Yeah, and so they actually go in, make the page, and then it puts it in there so they can put in images, they can put in content.
All right. Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Because I was always trying to find a way, because they just can't do HTML, So you're going to ask them to put a photo in there.
Just like that. It's a tiny plugin too, so hopefully it won't.
Yeah, I see. It doesn't even have a screenshot there, but it's worked for me.
Lets you display page content inside a widget. Simple, easy, love it. Yes.
You explained this, but I can't really tell the difference sometimes. I get very confused with this terminology. Like, what is the difference between plugin and widget?
Right. What's the difference between a plugin and a widget? That's a good one. So, the most basic explanation, I guess, is that the plugin is something you need to install. So you've got here all these plugins that they don't come with WordPress, right? You install these plugins, and the plugin might give you a widget, but you can't really install a widget. Well, you can, but it's more. You can't install it like you install a plugin. You'd have to like code it yourself. So, you'd have to get into something like all of this.
So I think maybe it might be good to say that all widgets come, well, except for the ones that are built into WordPress, come from plugins. Not every plugin has widgets. A plugin is basically a pile of code that adds functionality to your site, and that functionality can be a widget.
Right.
A widget is a display.
Yeah, and the widget you can drag and drop into different areas of the site to do different things, whereas a plugin you can't drag and drop a plugin. A plugin is sort of like a back-end thing, and a widget is more like you're seeing widgets on the front of your site. You're seeing that categories widget. The widget might be created by a plugin, like we covered. But yeah, so they're connected, but slightly different. Does that make sense? I hope I answered the question.
Why they're in different
Yeah.
sections.
Okay. Great. Others? Yes.
What is your favorite widget?
My favorite widget is obviously the text widget. So versatile. But no, I guess I don't have a favorite widget. It's fun to find new stuff with WordPress. I mean, there's so many plugins, and so many of them are going to give you widgets. You're always finding new things. You know, like I said, I found this this random image plugin widget that seems to be pretty cool. You know, just pull up a random image from your library. Others though, what's the crowd like in terms of widgets? Favorites?
What about Jetpack?
Jetpack, the plugin? I don't know.
It's a suite of plugins.
This is widgets though. I know my least favorite widget.
Least favorite?
The least favorite is calendar widget. I find no use for it.
Yeah, I haven't found a lot of use for the calendar widget myself, but you know, you can hack it and create something cool.
There are other calendar widgets, so.
But that calendar, the calendar widget that comes with the core is for post. It just doesn't make any sense.
But I'm actually looking for a really good calendar that I can put in events in and have people be able to sort different events, like if there's parties or sports or whatever.
Yeah, you want a plugin. You want like an events plugin.
Yeah, I do, and I tried one and it crashed my whole site. I tried another one and nothing ever came up like it was supposed to. So if anyone has a good one, I'd love to know.
Yeah, I've used a few that are good, and you know, the names are always so similar, so it's hard to remember, but I'll look that up and get it to you right after this. Our favorite one. Yeah, do you have a question?
I was looking for a sliding photo gallery, like in the content.
Right, slider plugins, definitely. There are a lot of slider plugins. I think Krista knows a good one. Soliloquy, yeah. Yeah, I have some experience with that one. Very good. What they'll do typically is you install the plugin, so maybe you install Soliloquy. It's going to create a custom post type, right? That's how Soliloquy works. It's called slides. And
options. There's a few ways you could do it.
Are there?
Yeah, depending on what kind of slide you
Oh, okay. The ones I've seen, they'll create like a new post type. So over here you would see slides. And then you go in there and it's just like creating a post. It's a custom post type. So you add your image, you add your text, and then plugin takes care of the rest. And then you can either use a short code to pull that slider onto a page, or you can use a little PHP in maybe your front page.php template or your sidebar template. Makes it pretty easy. So Soliloquy, yeah, is a good one.
Have you seen a good site that has good use of making an all widget front page?
Well, yeah, I mean, this one we were looking at here, Spine, I mean, I'm not a fan of the actual design. It's pretty simple there, but you know, it's there to be customized. What they've done though is they've created, I think it's 5, yeah, all widget areas that are only going to appear on the front page. And what they mean by first band, second band is like the actual display of the page. I don't have any good widgets to put in there though.
The
text
Genesis
widget.
themes, I think the majority of Genesis themes are fully widgetized front pages. And some of them come with custom widgets. I believe they all are fully custom. You wouldn't know, because the only thing with the widget is that it's drag and drop in the back end. But on the front end, if I didn't want you to know it was a widget and I'm developing it, you wouldn't know. It's just content there. So,
but you know when you're editing the site because it's so easy to just slide everything around. So, in fact, you know, a good way to find one is probably checking out the repository here at wordpress.org and searching for themes. And I would just search for like front page widget. I don't know, hopefully I'm proven right here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this maybe isn't the best way, but
the search on that org is not.
yeah. But Steve was just talking about Genesis, which is, they're not here? Oh, of course not, right. So, where are they exactly? Right. So they're going to give you all sorts of, I mean, they're premium themes, you got to pay for them, but it might be worth it in your case. It often is.
Okay. What about RSS plugins? So say you wanted to make a front page that brought in WordPress content from say 3 other WordPresses and displayed them all, the latest 3 or 4 posts from each one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit and didn't get to it. So WordPress comes with an RSS widget. I mean, it's basic, but it works. So we could say, all right, let's put our RSS widget here. You have to enter the feed URL. I thought we might try the old wpnyc.org feed. And we'll enter that here. News from WPNYC. Yeah, sure, 10 items. Display item content, no, we'll just go with the headers and did I put that in the right place?
I think you need to check, I think you need to show item content or something.
Oh, right, yeah. Let me put it here, that's what I meant to do. Okay, so now it's giving me headlines, right? So if I wanted to show the entire content, that option does exist. Just tick that, save. Now I'm pulling in RSS feeds.
Could you pull in the image that goes with that?
Is the image in the feed? It looks like the feed is set to only show the snippet.
RSS feeds show images, content, they also feature images.
Right, so that's something on the feed side, which we can't control unless we get Steve to change it. Yeah, RSS is a good one to use if you're going to pull in stuff from other sites. So the way, yeah, I don't, maybe you didn't catch that, but basically wpnyc.org/feed. Something good to know is that any WordPress site /feed, that's the RSS. So if you know a site's using WordPress.
You can RSS on each category and everything.
Yeah, exactly. If you go to a blog and you click on the category, you just take that URL. I mean, almost any page on a WordPress site, if you just add /feed to the end of it, you probably find an RSS there. You know, not on like a single page, but like any archive, category, tag pages. So you could pull in the feed for this site's, you know, a recipe site, just category blueberries. Give me the feed, and then you have that stuff right here. Yeah, very helpful. Anything else? Yeah.
Do you know of any plugins that where you easily put like Excel tables that turns into HTML and keeps it nice and neat?
Huh. I don't. Does anybody know of a plugin that would like manage Excel stuff pretty easily?
I think there's a WP Tables plugin somewhere, but you're just gonna have to look for that. I don't think they do. I don't think anything does a good job of it.
To directly show it's not just show an Excel spreadsheet on your website, but execute one. It's done. You can do it through the Microsoft SkyDrive.
Oh yeah. So is that sort of like embedding embedding the document?
You have to have Microsoft SkyDrive account, and you upload and you put it in your
SkyDrive.
Excel in the Microsoft SkyDrive account.
Yeah.
And you get embed code.
All right. Well, you might look into Microsoft SkyDrive, but are you looking to pull in like the table content into a post?
You can upload Excel.
But like have it live updating?
Not really live where possibly, but I mean it's just, you know.
Because wouldn't copy paste work if you just have a table? You could just paste it in.
I don't look at WP Tables. Or if you want to post on our site, maybe somebody else can do that. I really don't know how to do that. But yeah, I mean, they can say Google Docs has live embed and SkyDrive has live embed and all that stuff. Yeah.
You need Table Press is a really good plugin.
Table Press, there you go.
Yeah, Table Press has responsive plugins for it, and it imports CSV and all of it's like Excel 2004.
Table Press. Good name. Great look.
Are there any other questions?
How do you get a good YouTube, like you want to post a video, is there a widget?
Oh yeah, WordPress makes it easy. You don't even need a widget.
Yeah.
It's built in. So you just copy the link of the video and you paste it into your post. It's literally that simple. So like
362, is that going to be even more
easier?
yeah, you just have to make sure that it's on its own line. I was going to just grab one here because these are on
You have
WordPress.
to go to YouTube, right. So WordPress recognizes a YouTube URL as a YouTube video, not a link.
Right.
So if you just paste it into
Click on YouTube
WordPress
button.
post and click publish,
Right.
it will embed it for you.
Right, so if I've got this awesome video from WPMIT
Go share and
here.
it'll give you a short link.
I don't know if you need to do that.
Do I even need to do that? Can't I just grab it here?
I don't think so. I don't know that feature player.
And all that.
Yeah, it does all that featured player
Go
stuff.
share and get the short link.
Yeah, this is easier. So we catch this, right? And then I'm creating my, I'll add a new post and just say, you've got text here. You make sure that it's on its own line and publish and view.
Wow.
So there's about 6 or 8 different video formats. I think it recognizes Vimeo and Blue TV and YouTube. If you look on the codex, you'll see a list of them. But there's like 8 of them to do. And the new version of WordPress is going to be even better. In fact, this video, if you watch it, Scott Taylor, who's that gentleman on the left, actually talked about it last month. He built the video code for the next version of WordPress. So he'll explain to you why it's going to be even cooler in 3.6.
Does that work in a sidebar, in a widget, like in text?
Works anywhere. Yep.
It turns into a video in the sidebar?
Exactly.
In a text widget? I don't know. I think it's because that's something I don't know if we do that.
Let's try it.
Let's try it. I want to know.
But if not, you can use the embed
It will resize it automatically?
I'm guessing it depends on your
Try it now.
I mean, that would depend on your feed.
Yes.
Stick out.
This might not work.
Beautiful theme.
Nah.
But you can use the embed code.
You can use the embed code.
That's right. It doesn't strip embed, right?
I don't.
No.
So an iframe's cool?
But you probably have to resize that to
Yeah,
appropriate
let's definitely.
size.
There should be some embeds that runs on the concept that you can apply to
200.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
There it is.
WordPress, it's already thought of that. So, I love it. Okay, one more question, anyone? No?
Well, what if you want a completely blank first page with just your name on it or a...
Well, we can talk about that right now, afterwards. All right, thanks everyone.